Hello, bros. We're back with Call Me Crazy by Heche. And we're starting, get this out of here, the second part of the book. Well, I am. You're just sitting by, doing nothing as usual. Part 2, Survival of the Weakest. Let's get my hand. Hi, come on. It's okay, baby girl. Chapter 9, Another World. This is a pretty long chapter, so I'll probably break it into Another World. It's not it's. I had a hard time in high school. What with all the confusion about who I was and whether or not I was going to live or die. Why was she going to die? It was a hard subject to broach with potential friends. Oh, that's right. She may have AIDS. Hi, I'm Ann. I may be dying of AIDS because my father touched me. He's dead, and so is my brother, but I'm completely well adjusted. Do you want to be my friend? It was hard enough explaining why my mother and I lived in the same bedroom. Most teenagers are allowed to at least some privacy. Most parents understand that the teen years are the time when kids begin to figure out who they are, explore themselves a bit, talk on the phone, do homework, and learn how to masturbate. But not my parent, not this teen. So my years in high school were a bit of a blur. All I wanted was out. I didn't know how I was going to make that happen, but happen it would. I think sometimes that if you wish hard enough and your wish is in line with what's truly best for you, your wish will come true. I got a call one afternoon while getting dressed for my hostessing job. It was the last in a series of every shit job a girl could have. I had moved up to restaurant work once I was a senior because I could lie better about my age. And although I didn't believe in wearing fur, what? I thought I might get some good tips. Is Anne there, please? This is she. My mother had taught me proper English, so I always knew the correct use of her and she. You don't know me. My name is John Witzel. I'm the executive producer on a show called Another World. You ever heard of it? I hadn't. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. I'm not calling to give you a quiz. It's a soap opera that shoots here in Brooklyn, New York. Oh, a soap. I auditioned for one of those when I was a sophomore. That's right. I saw the tape of your audition and was wondering if you wanted to give acting another shot. You're kidding me. John explained that the lady with the hat who had come to see me was a Procter and Gamble talent scout, and Another World was a P&G show, as was As the World Turns. When there's a budding talent on the horizon, word tends to get out. I know you couldn't move in the middle of school, but you're a senior now, and I thought it might be easier to make the break. There's a part on my show I think you may be perfect for. You interested? Was I interested? My faith was restored in God. Was how interested I was. My new savior was on the phone. I flew to New York the night of a dress rehearsal for Guys and Dolls and was scolded appropriately by the acting teacher in school. Soaps are shit, Anne. If you want to be a real actress, you'll have to learn better judgment and commitment. It's your dress rehearsal, for crying out loud. What do you think this says to the rest of the cast? I didn't care what it said, quite frankly. This was my ticket out, and I was going to take it. I showed up on a studio stage in New York City dressed in jeans and a Bahama Mama t shirt. John met me at the door and instructed me to pay no attention to the girls over there. When I looked over, I saw the most incredible looking women I had ever seen, all dressed in tit popping numbers that I couldn't have fit my thigh into. I had accumulated some baby fat over the years and was what some might call a bit pudgy, my mother included. My mother had no restraint when it came to sizing me up about weight and how much of it I had. Turn around, Anne. She would make me stand naked next to Abigail to see who was chubbier. Abby is looking quite fit today. I guess those aerobic classes are really paying off for her. Are you running after school as much as you used to? I used to run around the lake come hell or high water, and according to my mother, I was slacking. Maybe you should take some of the classes that Abby is taking. What do you got, bruv? She didn't know that Abby was stuffing her fingers down her throat after each meal. She didn't know that Abby tried to stick her fingers down my throat so that she would have company on her binge and purge missions. She didn't know that her constant criticisms would send one daughter into a bulimia treatment center after 15 years, another into her own struggle with self image, and the third into a spiral of self hatred she only wished she could have puked her way out of had she been able to hack the routine. She didn't know the secrets her daughter's bodies told. She didn't know that my body was beautiful and hanging on the pounds of shame and layers of mistrust. You could be an underwear model. You could be an underwear model if you just lost some pounds around your hips, Anne. Put on that pair of Abby's underwear that makes her bottom look so good. Sounds like mom's got a problem here. She would make me stand in our bikinis and watch us walk across the room or the beach or wherever we happened to be to see who jiggled more, who could lose more, who could eat less. Could I be an underwear model, mommy? Could I stand in front of a camera with no clothes on and show off my sexualized body to people that I don't know? Would that please you, mommy? Would that mean I was beautiful, mommy? If other people sexualize me, does that mean I'm beautiful? Did you see daddy sexualize me? Mommy, did you think that was beautiful? Could I please get more criticism, mommy? I don't feel bad enough about myself. Could I have some more? When I looked at the girls whom John told me to ignore, I couldn't help but think that I should have exercised more, eaten less, listened to my mother. Bahama Mama, huh? He was reading my shirt. We went there for Christmas last year. You like it? Not really. I'm not much of a sun bunny. Oh, why's that? I can't stand wearing bathing suits. I acted my ass off, at least that's what I heard after I returned home from the audition. They wanted me to come back for another screen test. Hey, look, it's my best friend. Get out of here. And bring an outfit that flattered my body a bit more. I rushed off to the Ann Taylor where I used to stock clothes and bought a low cut number with my store discount. Glad you could make it back on such short notice. It was 3 days after the last audition. Are you kidding? I'm thrilled to be here. We're thrilled to have you. John was so nice to me. This character is a little different than the last one. Yeah, I noticed. Not so much of a sex pot. Right. I couldn't help but think that I wasn't sexy enough to play the other girl. I just want to see your range, that's all. Nothing to worry about. You did great last time. I just think this character might suit you a little better. I didn't believe him. Oh, okay. He put his arm around me and took me to the stage where an actor was waiting to read lines with me. There were cameras and lights, and hey, nice outfit, by the way. I was relieved. He didn't think my beige on beige on beige was too beige. He introduced me to the hunky guy standing in front of me. He was super cute, and she always puts super cute together or super anything. I'm trying to think of what writer did that. Where the hell did I read that? Where somebody was doing super. Anyway, he was super cute, and I was glad about that because at the end of the scene, I had to kiss him. I didn't know what that meant. Did they really kiss? Like, kiss, kiss? Or did they fake it? When the actor stuck his tongue in my mouth at the end of the scene, I got my answer. Cut, I heard John yell out. This is only rehearsal, guys. You can save the kiss for when we're rolling. The hunky guy turned pink. And that was perfect. Now just relax into it. You want to put one on tape? You bet your butt I do. I was shaking in my boots, but had never felt more alive in my life. We did a few takes, kissed a few more times, and the dream was over. John gave me a huge hug after the audition and said he would be in touch. It was 3 weeks before graduation, and if he didn't call, I would have to go to college, and I didn't want to do that. I have had enough dorm life. I wanted to start living. I prayed every day that I would get the job. I prayed that God would forgive all the bad things I had done and love me enough to give me the part. You see, back then I thought God was a punishing God. He gave you things that you wanted when you were good and made bad things happen to you when you were bad. A lot of bad had happened, so I figured that I was bad. Really bad. And yeah, it's John. John Witzel. You remember me? Of course I do, John. Of course I do. My heart was no longer in my chest. It was out the window on a cloud where I prayed God would find it and hold it gently in his hands. How'd you like to come to New York after you graduate and join the cast of Another World? My heart flew back in the window and nestled itself back into my chest. I had been forgiven, and God was telling me that I was good. Anne, you there? Yes. Oh my God, John, I'm here. Are you offering me the part? Did I get the part? You got the part, Anne. You got the part. I started jumping up and down and screaming and laughing. I was getting out of the cage. I couldn't contain my glee. I got the part. I got the part. John toasted me with his words. Watch out, another world. Here comes Annie. A song welled in my throat, and I just couldn't stop it. I'm going to be a part of it. New York, New York. I was kicking my legs like a proper rockette and belting out the words like a hired Broadway babe. If I can snap, snap, make it there, I'd make it snap, snap. Anywhere, it's up to you, snap, new, snap, yeah, York, snap, new, snap, York. I dropped my bags in the sublet I had rented at One University Square and got into the black sedan that was waiting outside my door to take me to the studio in Brooklyn. There had been tears of rage and protest from my mother over my acceptance of the offer, but I told her that I was going to make that the break with or without her support. I was now 17. It was the day after my graduation. The receptionist pointed me in the direction of John's office. After welcoming me to the show, and I walked down the hall that would be my home for the next 4 years. John threw his arms around me and explained that the reason that I had done 2 auditions was because he wanted to see if I had enough range to play twins. Vicky and Marley. Vicky's the bad one, Marley's the good one. You'll play Vicky for the first few months until you get comfortable, and then we'll bring on Marley. The studio wanted someone else, but I fought for you. I believe you, Anne. I know you wouldn't let me down. Twins, I'm playing twins? Yeah, twins. You think you can handle it? I didn't think I could, but I wasn't about to tell him that. I think I can, if you think I can. I think you can, then I can. Good, but don't worry about that now. All you have to worry about is today's scenes. You got the sides, right? Sides is the term for scene pages in soap language and movie language, but I didn't know that yet. Yeah, I got them. You memorize them? Yeah, they're memorized. You like them? Yeah, I like them. Good, because I wrote them. I like them a lot. That's good. You should. I wrote them for you. Now go get dressed or undressed, as the scene would have it. The wardrobe room is down the hall, around the corner, and on your right. I guessed it was time for me to leave his office. And Annie, I turned from the door. I didn't do you any favors when I hired you. I want you here because I think you're the only one that can play these roles. I didn't know what I had done to deserve such confidence, but I wasn't about to prove this man wrong. As the story went, one of my characters, Vicky Love, had lost all her money at a casino in Vegas. She was sitting in a bubble bath in a fancier than shit suite, and they had taken all her clothes so she couldn't leave the hotel without paying her debt. What do you got, bruv? Her father was a millionaire, a for real millionaire, not a fake one like my father, and she was calling him on the phone to come and bail her out. After much begging and pleading, he would agree, but only if she came back to Hudson Valley or wherever the show took place until she paid him back. The costuming team poured me into a nude spandex number unwrapped me from my towel, and dropped me in the steaming bubble bath to meet all the crew. I could not have felt more awkward. The nude spandex thing was the size fit for soap sized girls, so my boobs were falling out and my ass was never in. I was grateful that John had paid attention when I told him that I hated wearing bathing suits. Everybody, this is Ann Heche, a person with a walkie talkie on his belt and a strange sting in his ear. Pronounced it wrong, of course, but I didn't bother correcting him. She's the new Vicky Marley. After hellos all around, we were ready for a rehearsal. I picked up the fake old fashioned phone that was balancing on the edge of the tub. I talk in the hair? I asked anybody listening. Just like with a real phone, the director said. Right, but am I going to hear? Before I could get out the question, I heard a man coming through the phone cord that was now dragging in the tub with my bubbles. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, hi, I'm Cal. I play your father on this crazy show. I thought it was better to wait and meet you until you had some clothes on. Thanks, I stammered. What a nice guy, I thought. Congratulations, I've heard great things about you. Really? The person with the walkie talkie was pointing at me. Are we ready for a rehearsal? I was as ready as I could be, falling out all over and practically peeing in the tub. Just relax, I heard Kale saying. You're going to be great. Well, that was all the vote of confidence I needed. Ready. We rehearsed a little and sucked a lot, and we rehearsed some more, and I sucked some more. And we carried on like that until I was ready to shoot and the bathwater had turned cold. Everyone was patient with me, and Cal tried to put me at ease by cracking jokes each time I made a fool of myself. When the day was finally over, everyone applauded for me, whether they meant it or not. But it wasn't about the acting, I realized. It was about support, and it made me feel good and welcome. I think I'm going to like having you as my fake daughter. I was dripping out of my robe, relieved that the day was over and I hadn't been fired. Cal? Your one and only fake daddy. He was smiling. I was smiling. You must have had a really fucked up childhood, kid. Wow, what an opener. I thought I hit it so well. It's that obvious? How could you tell? Because we get along so great. He had been making jokes, but that wasn't a joke. He held out his arms and I fell in. I think I'm going to like having you as my fake daddy. Well, then it's a mutual liking. It's always better that way. He patted my wet head, and some of my goose pimples fell onto his shirt. Welcome home, kid. Welcome home. Kale and I became fast friends. We talked about being fucked up and the whys and wheres and whens of it all. I told him the little bits of my life that I could remember, but it wasn't much. I had buried most of it myself by high school. So by this time, I was like an accumulated factual list of myself, plastered together like a paper mache doll. Cal could see the doll and wanted to see me. I didn't know where to begin to show myself. I didn't know myself other than the things I had done. I was my work. I was a girl whose father had died. I was a girl who didn't go to college. I was a girl on a soap opera. I didn't know there was any other self to be. Cal told me about a therapist he knew in the city, and he highly recommended him to me if I ever felt like seeing what might be trapped inside the doll. The mere suggestion of it scared the shit out of me, but I had learned to trust Cal and thought it might be a good idea if he thought it could help me regain some of my lost memory. I hated not knowing who I was. I could barely remember anything before my father's death, and that had only been 5 years earlier. I thought there was something wrong with me, something terribly wrong with me that was making me forget. I saw my past like line drawings you make as a kid. A sketch of a house, a bus ride, a flame, a Christmas tree, a letter, a mansion, a car, a missing car, a sigh, a purse, a sigh. I rang the doorbell of a pre war building on the Upper West Side, 10 blocks away from where I had moved after my sublet ran out. I felt comfortable in the area and comfortable on the show. I figured it was time to get comfortable with myself. The doorman took me up in the elevator to Dr. Ernst's apartment. When I knocked on the door, a man in his early 60s answered and sweetly smiled at me. I had never thought to ask Cal, what he looked like and was surprised by how comfortable I felt having a man old enough to be my grandfather asking me to come in. He led me into an office off a waiting room with a couple of chairs in it. No one was sitting in them, which I was glad about. His apartment was off to the other side, behind the closed doors, where I imagined he probably had some cats. His office was simple. A chair where he sat, I could tell because there was a table with a tablet and pen next to it, and another chair that was caramel colored leather that looked like an easy chair with an ottoman in front of it. There was also a couch like thing that had no back, so it was more like a bed, a twin size bed. Over the bed, there was a picture of the ocean and sky, and I wondered what it meant to him, or if it meant anything at all, as he motioned for me to sit down in the caramel. I sank softly into the chair and noticed he had slippers on his feet as he sat down. Why not wear slippers all day when you work in your house? I would wear slippers, I thought to myself. Slippers are comfortable. I thought it was strange that I didn't own slippers. Dr. Ernst was the most gentle looking person I had ever seen. His demeanor was kind and his eyes wrinkled when he looked at me, like he was looking carefully and with caution. He was tender and curious. We sat and looked at each other for a while before anyone spoke. I was not used to silence. Silence made me quite uncomfortable when there were other people around me, and I was used to filling it with a whole bunch of nothing. I don't know why I'm here, really. I mean, I guess I kind of do because I don't remember anything about my childhood, other than the fact that I could fly down the steps, which is kind of weird, and I'd kind of like to know why I can't remember anything other than that, but I'm fine. I mean, I have a great job. Well, of course, you know that because I'm here because of Cal, and he probably told you that I was coming, and he knew me from the show. Duh. But it's great to be on the show. I like the show, and I really like Cal. He's like the first really good friend that I've ever had. Oh, that's another thing. I don't really have any friends. I never really made any after a while, but I made them up. I made up my friends, but not like in a crazy way. We would just play detective together sometimes. So, why do you think I'm here? Is that what you asked? I didn't ask anything yet, but I'd like to know. He'd like to know, and I'd like to know. I'd like to know too, I said. Why do you think you might be here other than having no memory except flying down steps and making up friends? Did you get that from what I just said? Did I say all that? Yes. Do you think there's something wrong with me? It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with you. What do you mean by something wrong with you? Like wrong with me. I thought if I pronounced the word a little clearer, he would get what I meant by it. Do you think that there's something wrong with you? Is that why you're here? Well, I think it's a little odd that I can't remember my childhood, and that disturbs me a bit. Can you tell me what you do remember? That I could. I told him that some factual list. I told him the same factual list that I had told Cal. My list usually started with the fact that my father was dead and what he was dead of, and then I went on from there about living in a one bedroom apartment with my mother and her crying all the time about Nathan and the fact that I hadn't cried about Nathan or my dad or, oh yeah, I think there may be something to that. I never really cried about them being dead. Why do you think you haven't cried? Because my mother was crying all the time about it and I didn't have the time. There were enough tears being shed in one house, in our house. Do you feel like crying about it? I don't think so, but maybe I should, you know? Why wouldn't I feel like crying? You tell me. I mean, I guess I feel like crying. I didn't know. This was all so fusing. I was talking and words were coming out of my mouth, but I didn't really know what I was saying or what I was feeling about what I was saying. I don't know what I feel like doing, to tell you the truth. Maybe I should figure it out and come back. You can figure it out in here if you want some help. That's what I'm here for, Anne, to help you. Well, I had never thought of that before. Someone helping me? I guess that's why I'm here, huh? Duh. What's the duh about? Well, duh. It's so stupid. I guess I'm here to get help. That's not stupid. We all need help. Oh, well, thanks. I guess I'm here because I need help. Well, good. That's what I'm here to give. I was saying that I needed help, but I didn't even know what for or how much I would need. I might need a lot. I can give a lot. I have an endless supply. As long as I pay, you help, right? Now I was frustrated that I had to pay for help. Do you have an issue with paying to get help? He asked. I guess not. No one else was going to do it for free. He was not disturbed by my sarcasm. You get paid to do your job because you're good at it, right? Right. I get paid for my job because I'm good at it. My job is to give help. If at any time you don't think I'm doing my job well, you can stop paying me. Deal? That all sounded logical, and for some reason I was feeling better than when I walked in the door. Deal. So you want to meet me next week? I did. I made a date and wrote it in my book. Then I canceled the date. Clearly, I was afraid of the date. It took me about 3 weeks to get back in the office and get some help about why I had canceled the date, and the next 2 dates after that. We discovered that it wasn't keeping a date that I was afraid of. I was afraid to get help. You look beautiful with no makeup on. Did I lose my hearing? Was someone telling me that I looked good without makeup on? Nick was a bad boy. He drank, he smoked, he stayed out late, everything I wanted in a man, and God was he hot. He wore leather and Levi's and didn't comb his hair and smelled of bar food and girls. Did I just hear you say what I thought I heard you say? I said. What do you think you heard me say? Oh, please don't make me play that game. You started it. You heard me, and then you asked if you heard me. I was only playing what you were playing. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm glad you like me without makeup. What? You never heard that before? Come on, I don't believe that. I rambled out the story about getting makeup for Christmas when I was little. I was making progress with Dr. Ernst, and things were flooding back about my insecurities and why I had so many of them. That's awful. You're beautiful, he said. Thanks. You're beautiful, I said. He had to know how beautiful he was. I couldn't believe I was flirting with him. He was so beautiful and bad. Bad and beautiful. If I had a type, which I obviously didn't, it would be him. I was 18, and although I'd done some pretty stupid things sexually in high school, I was lame in the sexy department, acting out your idea of sexuality and feeling like a healthy, sensual, sexual being are two completely different things. I was like an awkward toad feeling my way through a pond of murky water. I was lost on how to be a woman. I wasn't a woman. I was a girl acting like a woman. I lived alone and had a job and was on a TV show and going to therapy, but I was a mess. Just this guy telling me he thought I was beautiful made me quiver all over. I could hardly stand up when he asked me out for a drink. I wasn't old enough to drink. Of course, I said yes. Of course, we got drunk. Of course, we went to bed. Of course, we moved in together. I didn't know that Nick was more than 10 years older than me, and even if I had, it wouldn't have mattered. An older man felt more natural than unnatural to me. A guy with a screwy childhood who doused his pain with alcohol felt all the more safe. I was safe in the arms of unsafe things. He was unstable. I was unstable. He drowned himself in alcohol. I drowned myself in work. He was hiding and I was hiding, and we neither one knew how to stop hiding. Sure, I was in therapy, but for 2 months. I had years to go on this thing called the healing path. I was just starting to be able to cry, for Pete's sake, and I didn't know what the tears were for. Were they for my father, my brother, me, my mother, my sisters? I couldn't pinpoint sadness as an emotion, let alone all the other ones that were stored up inside me. Emotions scared the daylights out of me. I knew they were there and that they had names, but other than that, I was lost. When you're lost, you find lost. That's the rule I've discovered. You get what you are in relationships. If you don't have yourself together, you'll find someone else who doesn't either. That's what makes us comfortable, so we attract it. There's a term for this. It's called the codependent relationship game. If you're unhealthy and trying to figure out shit with your parents, you'll find someone who's doing the same thing. You'll get the parent you're trying to work your stuff out with, and it's always a two-way street. I chose Nick, and Nick chose me. I was looking for someone to save me from the hell with my father, and found myself an alcoholic. Hello, Daddy. He was looking for a woman to save him from the torture of his alcoholic father, and found a workaholic. Hello, Mommy. Sure, we came in different packages. That's how you get hooked. My father didn't drink. Nick's mother wasn't a career woman. They had different shields that hid their pain. We all have our shields. We have inherited the need for them from our parents. We attract people who reflect our shields back to us until we have the courage to take down the shields and look at the truth of who we are without them. Some of us do it faster than others. Some of us don't do it at all. Some of us have smaller shields, but until we do the work on ourselves to take down our own, we will not find another person without one. It is only without a shield that we can find true love. Anna was walking down the hall like a second finale of a fireworks display. On the 4th of July, she was a dark haired, dark eyed beauty, and she was heading my way. I had heard about her from Cal, a real whippet, he had said, and one of the best actresses to grace the show, hands down. She had gone out to try her luck in LA, but it hadn't gone her way. So now she was back to play the character she had created years before, Donna Love, Vicky and Marley's mother. She couldn't have looked more different from either one of the two of me. I could only wish. She breathed exotic, and I wanted to be exotic. My plain hair and skin were not yet something I inhabited with pride. I wanted someone else's skin, and I wouldn't have minded at all if it were hers. You must be Annie, she shouted from afar. Her smile beamed in my direction. I was her first stop back at the studio. She wanted to meet this chick playing her twin daughters and size her up a bit. We were both sizing. You must be Anna, I shouted back. She was carrying bags of stuff that were overflowing and practically spilling out onto the floor in her wake. I assumed it was for her dressing room. I hadn't even thought of making my dressing room my own. She had a lamp sticking out of one bag and something that looked like a statue in another, and before I could see what else, the bags were dropped at her sides and her arms were around me. I can't wait to work with you. I've been watching. You're the best Vicky Marley this show's had. There had been two before me, and one had won an Emmy. That's the way soaps work. When someone wants off the show or a contract runs out, they get a replacement. I was a replacement, and in the beginning was constantly compared to the other girl. But now the roles were mine. The fans had switched their allegiance, and Anna was telling me she had switched hers. I hear you're the only Donna this show's had. I'm so excited to be working with you. There had been a few actresses that tried to take over the Donna Love character, but no one liked any of them as much as Anna. She was somewhat of a legend. Don't listen to anything they say. Haven't you realized it's all bullshit yet? Before I could answer, she was on to the next and asked, Is this your dressing room? She butted past me and looked inside the cement walls and found nothing that made it look like mine, or else's for that matter. How can you live like this? I had never thought about it like that, but living really was what I did there. I was at the studio way more than I was at home. It's so drab, for God's sakes, girl. You like living like a depressed hermit? Where did you come from to want to live like this? Yuck. She was bold, honest, hilarious in her inability to hold back what she felt. She pulled her bags into the room and had a seat. You want some lunch? Have you eaten? I hadn't. Hidden underneath what could have been wallpaper for all I knew was a whole barbecued chicken and a loaf of bread. I wouldn't have been surprised if she pulled out a picnic table and four chairs. This room is bigger than any room I ever got here. They must like you or be kissing. They must like you or be kissing your ass. Sit down. She was telling me to sit down in my own room. She handed me a napkin and then reached inside her sweater and pulled out her shoulder pads. Have you learned that trick yet? Under the bra straps. Makes you look 10 years younger. I hadn't learned that trick. I was 10 years younger. You can use your fingers. Who needs utensils anyway? She pushed the chicken toward me. She dug in, and I dug in, and she talked, and I listened, and I talked, and she listened, and she never left my room. I had another roommate after all, but this time by choice. For the 3 years we were on the show together, we would never stop talking. No topic was off limits. We dove into obscurity like seagulls into water. What do you mean you don't masturbate? What girl doesn't masturbate? Well, this girl, apparently. I hadn't thought about it before. Nick and I had sex a lot, and although I had never had an orgasm, I never thought much about it, and I certainly didn't think about taking the matter into my own hands, if you will. Anna was horrified. You've got to learn, sweetie. They can't do it for you if you can't do it for yourself. Our conversations were our way of getting through the long days and stressful hours. We would go into our dressing room, she would buy food, and we would talk by the light of her lamp until we had to go back to work. If we were in the middle of a conversation, we would make mental notes and resume where we left off at the next break or the next day. It didn't matter to us. Our friendship had become one long, unending conversation about sex and men and women and heroes and heroines and fathers and mothers. It all seemed to weave its way gently together like a soft quilt. The itchy, uncomfortable blankets of my past were slowly coming off in therapy, and Anna was helping me replace them with silky threads of love and honesty, and clarity and silliness and kindness and humor. And did I mention love? There was so much love. One day I showed up, and there was a package waiting for me, all tied with ribbon in front of my dressing room mirror. Anna wasn't in the room, but the package beckoned for me to open it. I unwrapped the present and could not believe my eyes. It was a back massager, vibrator, with a note in Anna's writing. Enjoy yourself, love Anna. Just as any other girl completely out of touch with her body might do, I took the vibrator home and hid it in my closet. I waited until Nick was at the gym one Saturday and pulled it down from the shelf where I had hidden it between sweaters way in the back. I went into the bathroom, locked the door, and climbed into the shower. After being fully washed and scrubbed, I believed my body to be a dirty thing to touch. I wrapped the towel around myself, plugged the vibrator into a socket, and lay back on the cold tile floor to be charged with all the goodness that I felt masturbation had to offer. My backbone got raw rubbing on the tile floor. My feet slid into the side of the tub and got bruised. My elbows sloshed around, trying to find security while slipping on the puddles left from the shower. And my vagina. My vagina had no idea what hit it. I felt an electric shock shoot through me that could have been because the vibrator was plugged into a socket with water in it, or because vibrators are meant to feel like electric shocks. Either way, I was off the floor in a flash, hiding the scary thing back in the closet and returning to my blissful state of vaginal ignorance. I immediately instated a new policy in my life called My Vagina, What Vagina, and thought of a new title for a Dr. Seuss book called I Do Not See a Vagina There, I Do Not See a Vagina Anywhere. And I believe that's where I'm stopping since I got a shitload of pages to go. I ain't reading 12 more pages. I'm already 40 minutes in. Unless someone pays me $13 million, I'm done. 13 million. Going once? Anybody? I didn't fucking think so. Alright, bro, that's all.